What's up, TTM fam? Eric here. Sunday, December 28th, 7 a.m. Eastern Time for the last official episode of 2025. I may do a special episode come New Year's. I want to be clear about something before I go any further regarding this episode. This is about healing, and healing isn't linear. Healing doesn't cancel out the hard days. And Christmas was one of them, as you know. We just passed Christmas 3 days ago on Thursday, and it was definitely a different Christmas this year than it was last. So, um, going from last year, which was, you know, I was, at my ex's. We had matching pajamas. Everybody, her kids, my daughter. We were all matching pajamas. We were all enjoying each other's company. We were all opening presents for each other, you know. Um, and this year was drastically different. So, um, again, this isn't about blame or, it's just something that, Christmas and the holidays do bring this up. I'm not trying to be dramatic at all, believe me, you know. But I'm going to get into, how this Christmas was definitely, how I processed everything and kind of went through it. So now we're going to talk about, the expectation versus the reality, right? The expectation, holidays are supposed to be warm, right? It's supposed to be inviting. Closure is supposed to feel peaceful. Growth is supposed to feel empowering. Now, these are all things that you read about, you write down, you kind of, affirm to yourself, hey, these are my affirmations. This is what I'm going to kind of go by with, feeling the empowerment. But, here's the reality. The reality is that quiet moments amplify the absence. Last year I was surrounded by, her and her kids and my daughter, her and the kids, I should say, right? So it was fun. They were all having a good time. This year, complete silence. And that's something where, you know, your mind kind of goes back to it. And it's just like, wow, this is so different from a year ago. Memories surface without permission, right? I had flashes all this week, just random images of her, our relationship, of the kids, just everything. And that was tough because I didn't know, and I still don't, why these are, coming about. And it's something that it makes you stop. And here's the thing is life doesn't stop. Life doesn't care what you have going on or not going on, right? But so you just have to continue to move forward. And then we come into, what you did last year for traditions, which was, the case in point was the gym, Christmas pajamas. That was something I, was really looking forward to because I didn't even do that when I was married, so, having that and, now I don't, like, okay, it creates that contrast. And, it was, last year me cooking and, bringing over for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Like, I mean, this past year I did cook, but still, like, that's something where I was excited. I enjoyed, doing that. And the day, honestly, it felt heavier than expected because, again, you go from an extreme high of last year to a low because it's a total 180 in comparison to what it was the year before. And it's gonna get easier. Each day it gets easier, but it's just I won't be able to forget it, like for a while because that's something where I was dialed in. Like this is what I wanted. So, but here's the thing is Christmas didn't break me. It just allowed me, it just showed me, it just showed me what was still tender. And, the mind is able to move faster than the body. And sometimes the mind, excuse me, I don't want to say backtrack, but, you know, you feel like you take a couple of steps back, but in reality, it's all about your self integration, um, in your healing journey. So, what did Christmas bring up? Well, glad you asked. I will tell you. The moments where you expected to feel joy but felt distance, right? And it's just like when you wake up, last year was about, okay, wake up, did Christmas, with my daughter, and then packed her up, and then went over the house and did Christmas with her and her kids, and and then we had that. This year, there's nothing, you know. So you had that distance again, bringing up the flashes of memories, the different memories that we were able to do, you know, and that we did last year, but this year there were none. The emotional contrast between the past and the present, right? And that's really one of the kind of the biggest things, because it was so busy, you know, leading up to and day of, but it was something that I wanted. I wanted so bad, you know. And here's the truth: is the loneliness that isn't despair. That's just the truth of it all. Is I want to be, give you a distinction of, why, because this is healthy in my opinion when it comes down to it. This Christmas wasn't about missing her. Okay, I want to say that again. This Christmas wasn't about missing her. It's about missing the version of the life I thought I was building. When you put it in that sort of perspective, it changes the meaning of everything. And having said that, is, that's what was shown to me. So that's what I miss most about the relationship, were those moments that I was just like, finally, you know what? Like, this is what I asked for. This is what I'm getting. And this is why this relationship was going so well. And that's a hard part about when somebody projects something on you or wears a mask. It's tough. And that's really kind of the paradox of this relationship, is that, there were things that, I know that she wanted things deep down, but she just didn't have the capacity to hold it for an extended period of time. So, but I want to kind of, get into the difference between grief and regression, right? And I need to clarify some things. Grief isn't about going backwards. Sadness doesn't equal failure. And emotion doesn't equal attachment relapse. Feeling something doesn't mean you're stuck, all right? It means you're honest. And I've felt every single bit of this relationship. All the good, definitely all of the bad. I've never shied away from truths. That is one thing that I've never shied away from, nor will I ever shy away from, because I believe it helps you grow in a way that you aren't used to, because you are getting the truth about yourself or the truth about the situation, so you can accept that. At least for me, it's a lot easier for me to accept that. So this is where your awareness, comes into play, and how it changed the pain of the experience, of what you experienced. I didn't spiral. I didn't reach out. And I didn't abandon myself during Christmas. Because I very could have easily let it get the best of me. I could have done the old, why me, why this, why now, blah, blah, blah. No. Because it's not getting anywhere. I didn't reach out simply because she had made a choice. She chose to leave. She chose that she didn't want this anymore. Therefore, I am not reaching out and I am not chasing. I don't care what they say. I don't care how they say it. But the thing of it is there's only certain things that you can control. You cannot control somebody else's thoughts or somebody else's choices that they make. You have to accept it. You may not like it, and it's okay. It's all right if you don't like it, but you have to accept it because there's nothing that you can do. You can't love them harder. You can't try harder. You can't, I mean, whatever other, harder cliche we could, bring into play, but, and this is why you can't abandon yourself for something when somebody makes that decision. And where I didn't do that, that to me is progress. Because I could have easily reached out, I could have easily spiraled. I could have sent Merry Christmas, text or call or email. I could have done that. It was hard for me not to send it to her sisters because I've been friends with them significantly longer, but it's something that, why? I mean, genuinely, I'm a nice guy. I'm a good dude. Like I believe in acknowledgement. So this year was definitely tough by not being able to acknowledge that and just send something so simple. So, but again, it's part of my growth. It's part of my healing journey. It's a part of my understanding myself, my self-respect, and not having the ability, not chasing, for what? Somebody say thank you. I don't need that, So this time what I did differently was to be able to show growth without bragging, and a part of that comes with, you have to let the feelings exist. You have to sit with whatever it is that you're feeling at that, whether it's happy, sad, angry, mad. You have to sit with that because that's just the way that it is. You have to learn how to process it. You have to sit in the discomfort and process it. You can't fight them, and you can't numb yourself. Or now whether it's mentally numbing yourself, trying to suppress it and push it all the way down, or using illicit drugs or alcohol to numb it. No. Here's the thing: is you do something like that, that's going to create an even bigger issue. And fortunately, where I've gone, I'm coming on 20 years of sobriety, so every single thing I've felt, and I've learned how to process that. I've learned how to handle that, because as somebody in my position that's what you do. I didn't rewrite the past. And this was, and there's another thing is I didn't also, like in saying that, I didn't also make meaning, I didn't put meaning where it wasn't supposed to be, right? I didn't do that to myself because I owe the honest side, because I know both sides, I don't know exactly why on hers, but I know her side of it. But I also know my side, and I know what I did and what I brought and what I showed. And to, be honest with it, by not rewriting the past. See, here's the thing is, when people start to rewrite things, you don't know what the truth is anymore. And that's tough because you are going to be more apt to remember the actual truth of the situation than you are something that you fabricated. Honest, I'm telling you. I am absolutely telling you that. Unless you become like a pathological liar. you know, um, the truth is it's a lot easier to digest and describe and talk about than um, something that's, fabricated. That's just my thoughts on it. I didn't try to fix Christmas. There was no sense. It just was what it was. And that's how every day kind of is. It is what it is. You make the best of each day. How you choose to live your life that's you. That's why, excuse me, that's why, being goal orientated is so crucial. Writing things down, achieving those goals in timely manners, whether it be financially, spiritually, physically, mentally. Those are all things that you want to, have on your list and to be able to go through that, So keep that in your head. So here's, kind of a spot of reality. Is Christmas wasn't magical. It wasn't catastrophic either. It was quiet. It was reflective. And it was honest. So looking at that, and I can compare till my eyes bleed or my face turns blue, is I don't do that because I accept each situation as it comes. And that, I guess, I want to say is kind of my superpower, if you will, is I can take situations that come about. I may not agree with all of them. I may not like them. But here's the thing is I'm going to listen. I'm going to apply. And that's it. Excuse me. Some holidays are milestones. They're not celebrations. So, yeah, last year was a milestone. It was phenomenal. But this year, hey, it didn't have all the hustle and bustle of last year. It was quiet. It was, it allowed me to kind of think, and see how I was doing overall. And the truth of the matter is that I'm here. I got through it. And that's why I continue to move forward. Is because life doesn't stop. It doesn't. What this year taught me, as opposed to years prior, is, healing doesn't erase memories. Awareness doesn't delete emotion. Growth doesn't mean numbness. And peace doesn't mean happiness. And looking at over those, especially the first part, the healing doesn't erase memory, and you're right. Because you're never going to forget, because at that time, in those moments, they were real. And they created phenomenal memories, phenomenal experiences that you shouldn't forget, because at that time, it was the truth for both of you. And here's something, is the goal is never to feel pain. It's to not abandon yourself when it shows up. Think about that. when it shows up, that's when you deal with it. That's when you start your healing in a positive, structured manner, right? Is you don't do anything illicit to try and expedite it, but um, just understand that this is real life, and you are going to have to deal with some hardships, and this is one of them. So believe in yourself because you are stronger than you think. Christmas didn't undo my healing; it confirmed it. You know, because I felt what I felt and I stayed. Looking over that line is, you know, whether you think it's 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 year, so on and so forth. You can go down the line and kind of attach it to who you want. Is, um, healing isn't linear, and it takes time, and you have to give yourself that time. And some days are going to be much better than others. That's for sure. So, keep that in mind throughout your journey. Is that you're going to have great days. Things are going to be awesome. But then you're going to have those other days that are a little bit darker. And that's okay. Because you're allowed to feel that. You want to feel that. Because that is a lesson learned from, your past showing up in your present. So keep that in mind. And at the end of that, that's what real healing looks like. I do want to kind of, touch base on my spiritual journey. Is I had a meeting with one of the members of my church that I went to. It's called Growth Track, and it was a really enlightening introduction into how the church operates, the expectations both from them and you. And it was only supposed to be like an hour and 15 minutes, but we were there for 2.5. And it gave me great information and great insight for me to start my path. And that's, and it starts, it has already started, but in the sense of it, it's something that, the more research that I can do, the better off that I'll be, to see if this is really something I'm going to move forward with. Like I said, I'm slowly but surely seeing different things come about, but there's still a lot of questions that need answers. So I'll keep you posted on those. But till then, today is a great day. Actually coaching the last Metcon of the year, 2025. We're gonna make it a spicy one. Because honestly, like, if this is the time of year where everybody's like, oh, I need to get back to the gym, I need to cut back on this, I need to go on a diet, I need to do better money-wise, financially, and those are all good. The one thing that I want you to understand is I need you to follow through with those. That's why I say keep your goals small, keep them attainable. But like, what can I do today? You should be setting up daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly goals. That's what you want. Now, when I said those things, is that I didn't say multiples. So you can do one thing per day, right? But you do it every single day. After about 8-12 weeks, that's habit. Now that one thing is habit, so you task on what's another daily task that I could do. And then the things weekly that you're going to be doing. Monthly, and then quarterly, biannually, every 6 months, And then if you want to set something up for the end of the year, great. You want to go on a vacation somewhere, or at the beginning of 2027, guess what? That's your monthly goal to put, financially X amount of money aside onto where you want to go. So when you book that trip, everything you have is ready to go, and you're not going, oh my God, I gotta wait till I get paid. No. So kind of keep that in mind. But again, keep your goals small, keep them attainable. And when you do that, I guarantee you that you will notice the difference. You will feel the difference. And I hope you achieve that. But big if here, this might be my last episode of the year, and I've enjoyed every single one of these. I've enjoyed the community that I'm building, with this. I appreciate the viewers and the subscriber, because this has been something that like I said, I've always wanted to do, and kind of stayed consistent, with this every week since I started in July. So I mean, 5 months. 25 official episodes plus some specials thrown in there. I mean, I think close to 30, 31 videos. That's an impressive stat for me, especially from somebody who knows absolutely dick about social media and all of that. But again, I didn't start this to become famous, obviously. I started this because I want others to know that if they're going through a similar situation that I am, that you're not alone, and maybe something that I talk about helps them, get through that situation. Because all I'm looking for is just to get through that one person. That's it. Until then, I guess start getting ready to coach today. Go over my prep, warm up. Haven't decided if I'm working out yet. I don't think I will. Typically I don't when I coach, because I want to focus. Obviously my job is to focus on the class. But and then afterward is church at 11. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of 2025, and I will see you on January 3rd. No, January 4th. Excuse me. January 4th is the first Sunday of 2026, and I'll let you know how New Year's went. But till then, like and subscribe. You guys are awesome. Here's to a new year. Here's to finishing the 2025 strong and gearing up for a great 2026. All right, take care.